Ready.
Ready. Are we going to do a sound check?
Huh?
Check.
Yeah, we're doing it right now.
Okay. You know, I used to do this song in choir class where we would practice our voices, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 5, 4, 5, 3, 5, 2, 5, 1, 5, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1, 1, 5, 4, 5, 3, 5, 2, 5, 1, 5, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. And then we would just do that forever. It was horrible. And I just subjected you both to it.
Oh, okay. Yes, the glorious preamble part of the podcast was the musical stylings of Erika Szabo.
Woo!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Otaku Crypt podcast number 11. Once again, I am recording outside because it is a beautiful day here at Woodbine Beach Park in Toronto. We were here for the cosplay beach hangout, which was my big dot on my summer calendar. So I got out here and shot a bunch of stuff. But I am joined here with, and I'm going to just say this, my celebrity, air quotes, my celebrity crush, Erika Szabo.
Your celebrity crush. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's nice to be here. Thanks so much.
Yes, basically because your videos got over 1,000 views, that made you a celebrity in my eyes.
Oh.
And also, you're just a delight. Ever since I first met you, you've been nothing but kind to me, and so I've always enjoyed getting the chance to see you, and I knew for many reasons I had to have you come on the podcast when I started one. So, yes, you've been taking a bit of a break just because you're tired, girl, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm tired. But I'm still cosplaying.
Yes.
I've been doing a lot of cosplays, so staying productive and just, little art therapy and just living life, right?
Yeah.
Summertime is usually the time where I do that because I took a break last year, too.
Right. Yeah, good time to decompress, right? Because you can just go out and do stuff instead.
No expectations.
Exactly.
Just do your thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit here because in the pantheon of anime viewers, I find, and anime fans, there are the super fan girls who just squee over cute things. Mm-hmm. There are the ones who kind of just enjoy things at base level and is like, oh, that was cool or wasn't cool. And then, if I may, there's us, the people who I need to know the sound director of this thing because he was the same one on this one, and therefore future series with that sound director are going to be good. This is a show where it's animation, but we're obsessed with sound directors. And just I kind of want the history on how did you get into anime, and how do you think you became that kind of anime viewer? Like, you're clearly very informed about all the things you like. And where do you think that comes from?
Well, it used to be, my taste in anime changed so much over the years. Like, when I first started watching, I was, 6 years old watching Sailor Moon on YTV. Mm-hmm. And this was all before I even knew what anime was. And for a long time, I went to elementary school and no one knew what anime was. And I didn't know how to describe it, right? It wasn't until I was 13, I was in middle school, and I found a girl who also liked Sailor Moon, and we clicked upon that. And then she showed me a whole bunch of other things. Around this time was also when I started getting Animerica. This was late 90s, early 2000s. Mm-hmm. And that's when I was getting more into more shoujo, actually. I was watching a lot of Fushigi Yugi, Cirrus. I was reading all of Cirrus, anything by, I don't even remember what her name was. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But I was watching so much Inuyasha. Now, Inuyasha is kind of like a run-on joke for me on my channel because I have so many DVDs, but I can't stand this show.
Yes.
I would much rather watch Ranma Half. I really like Ranma Half because it's actually fun the entire time. I didn't always feel that way with Inuyasha.
Well, in the case of Inuyasha, and a lot of people don't know this, 90% of that show is filler.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They deviated from the base manga so fast that, and so they just came up with a bunch of stuff like the 19 Saiga empowerments. Yeah,
it's so crazy. But, as I got older, my taste matured, and I already had a lot of interest and inspiration too from older anime.
Yeah.
Even before then, in the 80s, Dirty Pair always really inspired me. So it was really nice that we did that cosplay, that I did this cosplay recently with my friend Eve. And then also, I don't know, like so many others. There's so many other anime that I got to explore and just really admire. And as I got older, I got more into mature anime. Yes. I mean, although at the same time, I watched Serial Experiments Lain when I was like 16. And I'm so happy because that was a really good gateway into much more challenging anime. And I also watched Boogie Pop Phantom. And I started getting more into like Satoshi Kon's works too. And now he's one of my most beloved directors by far, but I also read a lot of like alternative manga now as well, stuff that's usually not translated into English because I don't know, probably it's just not as popular here. Certain subject matters just aren't.
Yeah. And we have to remember there that, you know, in Japan, there are weekly magazines that are basically featuring a new series, like 10 new series every week.
Yeah.
And, like, not all of them get picked up as animes, but some, you know, find their home online and an author keeps working on them.
Yeah.
And it might be a total gem, but it wasn't sellable for TV.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, I don't really watch as much commercial stuff anymore. Like, I don't really watch very much on Crunchyroll unless it's like a hidden gem. Like, one of my favorite shows on Crunchyroll is Shinsekai Yori. I love that show. It's a really good dystopian show that just didn't really take off very well. It didn't do very well in sales. It just didn't get very good reception. Kind of like another really good one for that was Bakura no. And that one came out, and that's very similar to Neon Genesis Evangelion, but also not very well known. I'm a total sucker for hidden gems, things that people don't know about, and then you dig deep for them. Because I did that with music. I did that with film growing up. Yeah. So it's a fun hunt, right? You just got to look for it.
Mine, my hidden gem, and I think I told you about this, just talking online, was a show called Better Man.
Better Man.
I think I brought this up to you.
Yes, you did.
And it was this, basically where most of my anime collection comes from is the small town that I grew up in. As I was coming into high school and we had an anime club, this bookstore opened up, this used bookstore. And it turned out she was able to get a hold of manga. So she started ordering manga, and then it started selling because my anime club and everybody in it didn't have anywhere else to go to buy stuff that was, you know, we all couldn't drive yet. And what ended up happening was, like, a friend of hers had this basically huge anime collection, like, still factory sealed. Like, he just bought it with the intention of selling it, and then he was going to sell it. And so in there was, like, I bought almost every single Gundam show I've ever gotten, almost the entire Universal Century timeline, so the original run.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
that's incredible.
I spent so much money there. It was back when I had, like, the first job that was just straight up disposable income.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I spent so much money there, and one of them was this show that the owner actually, you know, just bored during the day. Like, it was one that was already open, so she said, I'll just watch this one. And she's like, Josh, this one's really weird, but I think you might like it. And so I watched it, and it's super weird. It is, like, really cerebral and this weird mix of, like, science and magic, but then the magic is explained away as science as it goes.
Okay.
Type of thing. But it basically revolves around kind of a team of scientists who are counteracting this unknown pathogen that causes weird things in not only people but machines. It just fucks shit up, okay? And the guy who constantly shows up to save the day is a human-looking person who will then eat a seed and transform into some sort of creature.
Okay.
And they basically say that they're this type of person. They compare it to a bacteria that can, like, spontaneously evolve to be in its environment. And they said they're basically human versions of this called Better Men.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you did tell me about this.
Yeah.
But I've never seen it before.
Yeah, it's like it's got that very almost like, the animation looks a little washed out just from where, you know, when it was made. But that was kind of my hidden gem, and, like, it just got so into my head that there's one of, you know, Better Man's forms called Ultos.
Okay.
Ultos is the screen name I use in any MMO now.
That's really wicked.
Yeah. It's probably out there somewhere. It was licensed through Bandai, I think. So you'd probably
I'll look
have
around.
to go through them. Yeah.
I'll look around for that.
Yeah. If you want, like, something that, like, not a lot of people have seen, it was, like, so not mainstream in, like, any of, like, its, like, it has mechs in it, but they're not cool mechs. Like, it's more of a functional science robot that they happen to pilot.
Yeah. What was the art style like?
It was kind of weird because, like, female characters were drawn with, like, harder edges, but male ones were drawn more rounded. Huh. And like I said, the colors are a little almost a little washed out, but it almost feels like they did it on purpose.
Yeah, you were saying.
But like almost like there's a constant fog.
You know, it's funny how sometimes art can really deter people from checking out things. Another hidden gem that I really like is called Kaiba, and that's very cyberpunk in nature. However, the art style is much more like Tezuka's art. Tezuka, who did Astro Boy, Blackjack, etc., Unico, all of that.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people were deterred by that because everyone is kind of sexually ambiguous looking because everyone's very much rounded in the way they look, but it has to deal with very serious matters too, and it deals with like like themes of AI, and you see that a lot in anything that has to deal with AI is what makes someone human, what makes someone body their own, right? Because in this anime, you're in a position where you can leave your body, your consciousness can leave a body and then enter a new shell.
Okay.
Right? And it's a bit of a mystery, and it's the mystery of the main character trying to figure out who he is. And it pieces itself together, and he meets people that he should know, but he doesn't remember. Okay. It's a really cool series, but it didn't get as much love as it deserved. So like going into detail about Better Man just made me think about this show. It's like, oh man. There's certain things, like very special things about certain shows that it's kind of baffling in a way that people don't know about these things, but it's also nice because it's like your little secret. You know, it's something you have for yourself and only you know?
Yeah. And just when you were saying like that almost sounded like off-brand Ghost in the Shell.
A little bit. It is very similar. It has very similar themes.
Yeah, just because at the end of the first movie, the Motoko obtains the standalone complex, which is basically the singularity, right? Yeah. Where she exists as a cyber entity and can enter a new body whenever she feels like. Kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What's your what's like your favorite classic anime movie? You sound like
favorite classic.
You sound like you lean more towards the Akiras.
I like Akira, but I like the manga adaptation better because I felt like it went better into the mythos itself. I think it went much better into the drug. I think it went much better into it went deeper into the characters themselves. I think that they did a really good job for the movie, and I think that the art is incredible. I think it's beautiful, but it's also one of those things where it's like I felt like it could have been longer.
Okay.
I do. I think that it did a really good job, but I think the pacing was a little clunky. But I am a very big fan of cyberpunk. I'm trying to think right now what my favorite movie is, actually. I don't know. You can't really consider it a movie. It's considered a 2-episode OVA, but it's for Battle Angel Alita. I really like that. Some people consider that to be like a mini movie.
Well, see, in the case of those, like OVAs like that often get put together as movies. Like that happened with Gundam Wing Endless Waltz.
Yeah,
that's a 4-episode
that's
OVA that's put together as a movie.
Yeah.
And I think the movie was cut a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a much bigger fan of the manga for Battle Angel Alita, but I gotta say, to see that animated and to see those characters come to life, and just, I don't know, just get to really experience it in that way, I think was really great. I know a lot of people usually say, like, what the hell was this? But I really like the end of Evangelion. I know a lot of I don't quite understand because I'm like a sucker for symbolism. I used to do like literary studies, and I would dissect literature, and it made me want to do that. Every scene I actually wanted to pick apart. I like picking apart shows, and if it's a show that's already picking itself apart, then I would love to.
You're preaching to the choir on this one. I spent so much time on Evangelion wikis trying to understand every frame of that freaking movie.
Yeah.
But and then the joy of it is, a lot of the times Deki Yano is screwing with you.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not canon. I wanted to fuck with you.
Yeah.
Like the classic of, muting Gendo when he says the important thing to Ritsuko, right?
Yes.
And like that drove everybody crazy.
Oh, of course it's gonna. But I think that's part of what's so amazing about Anno is like he's able to manipulate the audience in such a powerful way, yet still be so beloved at the same time.
And that movie was his revenge, was the funny thing.
Yeah.
It was, because the show got cut abruptly, and that's why the last 2 episodes are the entirely in people's minds thing. They lost their budget all at the end. So they had to just find a way to finish it, and of course we get congratulations out of that. And basically, and there are these great moments in the movie, if you're like me and you're going through frame by frame to spot things, some of those internal mind sequences, there's a bit in there where it's Anno's hate mail. And you can like stop and you like, there's a bit in there where you see his hate mail. Like they're saying like, Anno, I'll kill you. Just like all these threats and everything because of the ending of the show. And then, so basically, it was like, okay, I'm going to make this movie, but I'm going to leave you with even more questions.
I love that.
That was, and then there was a great super meta moment in which they cut away from the show and they show live action footage of people sitting in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
Those are people watching the first screening of the movie.
Wow. Okay.
It was like super meta. It was Anno's revenge,
crazy.
right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And like I said, I spent a lot of time just dissecting that movie and that show because again, I love the symbolism. I love, like, me and friends like discerning like meaning out of like the fact that the Sele symbol has 7 eyes. You know, stupid shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one that it's my go-to, and you really can't go wrong. Like with End of Evangelion, I usually have to pace myself. Just like with certain shows, I can only watch once every year, 5 years, 10 years even, perhaps, right? But I really like the Cowboy Bebop movie because it felt like an episode, a giant episode.
You're gonna like when I sign off, just so you know.
Oh.
Just keep an eye out for that. Okay. You're gonna like when I sign off.
Because that's the thing is, it felt like just another mission they were on, just bigger and better and just so much fun.
And I thought the antagonist of that was brilliant because of his obsession with purgatory.
Yeah.
And that, he basically, not to spoiler too much of it, but, he's using purgatory metaphorically because of his situation, and it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And of course, the music is fantastic.
There were some good fights.
You want, like,
the broom fight.
The broom fight. The broom fight is amazing. And of course, culminates in finding out what Spike loves in a woman.
Yeah.
I love the kind of woman that can kick my ass.
Yep. Yep.
And that was, and again, I think that one is a triumph in music for me because it's Yoko Kanno's jazz composition, and it's so good. That album, I have a live album from Cowboy Bebop because I bought the big 2-disc CD for it. And it's all just live performances by the Seatbelts, and it is just amazing chill music. But then if Tank comes on, you become very excited very quickly.
Yes, absolutely. It's just such a cool looking intro too.
Yes.
It's so stylish. And,
and I'm obsessed with intros too. Like,
yeah, me too. It's, it can make a really big impression. It's just like seeing the front cover of a movie or a CD,
And opening sequences and choice of music. I love dissecting that part of it too, right? Like I've been rewatching Fairy Tale just because I've been doing a lot of long format shows just because I can put it on the background and let it run. And I went back to like the start of Fairy Tale just for kicks and giggles, and the choice of music there is to Hook. It's a song by Idling. So it's a girl group. It's super uppity, and also like, I can only say it's got like a twinkle to it. Like I don't know how a song has a twinkle, but it does.
Glimmer.
It really matched well with A World of Magic.
Yeah.
And and I thought some of the other seasons they weren't doing it as well. I think there's a problem with when a show becomes popular, you got to put a trendy artist on it. I think that happens, and I think that happens with One Piece too. Like they actually have kind of like almost karaoke openings at first that are specifically written for the show, and then it becomes more like trendy pop songs. And it's like, does that ever bother you, or?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets a little bit carried away for me. But when you look at the actual content, then sometimes it can prove totally different. Like, after a while, I hated some of the openings for One Piece. I'm like, no, I don't want to watch this. I'm just going to skip it. And the actual content that's going on in the show, it's a very long show. It's a big commitment. But those episodes are still good. They're still really good. Even filler episodes are entertaining enough to not make you think or want to think as much about the fact that it's filler. There are certain shows that are good at that, some that aren't, Some don't know how to not make the audience feel like they're a lamb or something, or a sheep or whatever.
I always thought the one that was like a super like could turn an audience from it away just from the opening was the second half of Death Note.
Oh, I didn't even bother.
That was they used.
I did the first.
They used hard music for the second thing.
Oh yeah,
it
really?
was. And not to disparage people who like metal,
like
but
the second half of the series.
Yes, like post L.
Okay.
And it's like it's metal.
Yeah.
Like you like are like looking for subtitles, and it's a guy speaking English.
That's funny.
And it's hard, but it's like
when I'm
in that
to
case,
death metal.
case, it's like, well, it's an intense show, but it's like this is not going to get you new people who are like they're going to be intimidated by this.
Yeah, well, the thing is with that show in particular, and same with the manga, is I just had to stop after the whole L thing. I just, like, I don't know, I couldn't get into more of the game itself, you know, I just really liked how it ended. So I didn't even see that. I don't even know, like, how or if, or, like, it probably would intimidate people. It probably would. A lot of things will. There's a lot of things that people are like, it's a little too much for me, you know? It's hard finding that middle ground, yet still being able to challenge the audience.
Yeah, and, you know, I think basically that's almost the difference between, you know, it's kind of what Shonen Jump has built their career on, is almost like it's the middle of the ground animes. It has very wide appeal.
Yeah.
And yet, oddly enough, Death Note came from Shonen Jump.
Yeah,
it was
crazy enough.
It was kind of, that was a weird time for us. That was like in the middle of high school, and Death Note was the shit.
Yeah.
But what I always say about Death Note is, like, read it or watch it once. That's all you need to do. It's all based on shock value. Once you know how everything unfolds, it's not really that fun to rewatch.
That's how I feel about Mary Nikki, actually. Future Diary.
Okay.
I own this series. I really liked it the first time, and then I watched it a second time, and I wasn't as pleased as I thought I'd be, because sometimes when you rewatch a series, it gives you a lot of foreshadowing, and it gives you a lot of reasons to be like, oh, this is actually really nice and really refreshing. There are certain shows that do it really well, and then there are certain shows that are like, why am I even?
Yeah. Did you ever like do that where you like came back to a show and then like it wasn't as good as you remembered and you just gave up?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. And then I just, I mean, I was trying to reread Cirrus. I can't remember what her name is. I don't even remember her name. I don't remember her name, but she did Fushigi Yugi too. And I reread it, and I thought I was going to love it. I loved the art at the time, and I was really unimpressed. And I'm like, oh no, this is like that time in my life. Except the one good one, because I also recently did a cosplay for Oh My Goddess. And Oh My Goddess in general, like reading that, the Dark Horse comics. Well, Dark Horse Comics is manga, rather, is the better way of putting that.
To see the Oh My Goddess cosplay,
weird.
go to otakucrypt.com.
Pardon?
to see Erika's Oh My Goddess cosplay, go to otakucrypt.com.
Yes, you may. That was fun. That was really fun. But
you guys are great.
I really love that one still. So there's an example of one where I was like really pleased with how it was. Like Inuyasha, I'm never gonna touch again. I've decided I'm never gonna touch that one again. I tried, and I was like, no, you know what? That was there was a reason behind that feeling, right?
Yeah. It was. I think it caught us in the preteen feels time or something.
Yeah, you know, and I like melodrama, but there's just too much of it sometimes, and sometimes you're just being like pulled along on an endless pathway that never ends, and sometimes that's good. I like that. I like being pulled along, and I like to have open endings, but at the same time it's like you have to have the right kind of intention and feel for it too, you know?
Yeah. Whereas, you know, just kind of, you know, this is going to be a very fitting transition considering how you're dressed. It wasn't like Last Airbender. Last Airbender was planned as a whole.
Yeah. Beginning,
middle, and end. The entire thing was planned out, and that's why it plays out perfectly. And that is why that show is a masterpiece, basically. You know, it ensnared anime fans, and they're tough people, especially when it comes to animated shows.
Yeah.
And Avatar won them over, right? And then they came with Legend of Korra, which I'm not saying is bad. I am saying I think it's out of order because of the intensity of the seasons and because they made that first season, and that was supposed to be it, but then they got asked for more. And so I feel like the intensity of the seasons is off because they never knew how it was going to end.
Right.
Like, how the show ended should have been more in the middle. And, like, second season should have been the ending. Like, I'm looking for nods
Something
here.
to think about.
Yeah. Like, Eve over here is giving me some nods. She's thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that's, like, I can always tell and feel when a show was planned out beginning to end. And, you know, Japan is notorious for their networks just dropping shows.
Yeah.
The orange ending, if you know that, you ever heard that term?
Orange ending? No, I
No,
don't think so.
The orange ending is, like, the last episode goes, but our battle continues, and that's the last thing that ever happens.
No.
That's the orange ending.
That's so horrible.
Those are terrible, and I had one of those happen recently with Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon?
Oh, okay.
They drop the biggest thing ever about the main character, and then Finn. Like, what? No. Where's the next episode?
Wow, really?
Yeah. Good show, though.
Is it? Yeah, I've heard.
good.
My roommate really likes it.
It's good.
She actually cosplayed the main girl in it today.
Hestia?
I believe her name's Hestia.
The
I
white,
don't know
the white
the
dress,
series.
the
The white
pigtails?
dress,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the goddess Hestia. It's
Yeah.
the main character is like guardian deity.
Okay.
Because it's all about, it's basically a dungeon crawler world, and everybody
Yeah.
has, like, all the guilds have guardian deities.
Is it based off of a light novel?
I'm not sure. I haven't,
Because when you think about Sword Art Online, that's based off a light novel.
Mhm.
That's one show that I don't really like very much. I only like the
Thank you.
music.
Thank you.
However, I hear the light novels. If you actually follow those, you'd enjoy it more.
Yeah, I'm super in the minority on Sword Art Online. There's
Don't
basically
worry.
this well, because I was a dot hack fan first.
Yeah, me too.
And I think it did the Trapped in a Cyber World way better.
But some people don't want all the talking too.
And,
That's the
yeah.
problem. It's actually really smartly written. It's done very well, I felt. However, I don't know. I think people get bored by things easy, and audience can be pretty flaky sometimes. If it doesn't have enough fan service in it, they don't like it.
Yeah, and and dot hack was not fan service
No,
at
not
all.
at
It was
all.
like watch, think, and watch this unfold.
Yeah.
But I loved the cross media aspect of it.
Yes.
Where you played the games to get the rest of the story. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
And but yeah, and just when Sword Art Online came out, I think it came out as when the majority of anime fans were a different kind of anime fan. They were more the fangirl squee about everything kind of fan base. Not to put that down, it's just the times. And
we had past that time.
I thought you always think you're past it. It's like fashion. It's in cycles.
It is in cycles.
Right?
It is in cycles, absolutely.
And there's cycles of good and bad anime. I think we're finally getting out of a cycle of bad one. We're getting out of the part of the bad ones and getting into good ones. Like there's a lot of new.
I hope you're right.
There's a lot of new shows on right now that I really dig.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon was one. My Love Story is another one. It's like the most brilliant take on like the summer romantic comedy I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because it's like the main character is not like the handsome guy trying to get the pretty girl. He's the tall, he's like, they say he's 2 meters tall and 250 pounds. He's just a brick shit house of a guy. Looks like a sumo wrestler. And it's all about him falling in love with the most adorable little girl. And they're in junior high or something. It's super cute. It's really good. And it's all about how, and then it's also his good-looking best friend is he's indifferent, and you're led to believe he's kind of a douche, and then by the third episode you realize this guy's the greatest friend ever.
Aww.
It is. It's really cute.
It's
And
cute.
if you're looking for a drama romantic comedy thing, it's a good one to watch right now.
Absolutely. I need more suggestions for things because I haven't really been following. I mostly go back to older anime or anime that I hadn't seen. I just recently watched Penguindrum.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was so happy I saw that. So happy I saw that. It was just so interesting, and I like the winding paths that sometimes these directors put you through, and put you on, rather.
Yeah.
It's just such a trip. Anything that's a psychological thriller for me, I really like.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, I think I saw one episode of Psychopaths so far.
Really?
A lot of people ask me, because I have a video where I have my top cyberpunk anime, and I typically go more towards older ones, right? So I got a lot of people saying, hey, where's Psychopaths? Where's Psychopaths? It's well, this is my list.
Yes.
I have my list for a reason. However, it's still one of those things where it's why haven't I watched that? That's a very good question. Yeah. Exactly. I know. Everyone.
Eve gave the most definitive, why aren't you watching it face.
Sorry,
she
Eve.
expressed so much with facial
your
expression
eyes.
there. I got a novel, an epic out of her just there.
You're very expressive,
You gave me Beowulf from your face. It was amazing. But yeah, the psychological thriller ones those are ones that are always shown to me, and they're typically not my bag, but I will appreciate them for thinking deeper, for being high-minded.
Yeah.
I think those things need to be made because those are the things that make us think about things in different ways. It's thinking, this is a weird old reference, but Jules Verne, who wrote 30,000 Leagues Under the Sea and To the Moon and Back, right? He wrote science fiction in the 1800s that wound up being true. And here I am sitting here way excited that the Japan and America giant robot teams are about to battle because that means Gundam is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many of my mech nerd friends all had a good freak out over that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, BattleBots.
Yeah, but there's like BattleBots came back. Those are the small ones, but these are the giant robots. Like full on, a dude sits in them.
That's so cool, though.
And America challenged Japan, and Japan accepted.
Oh, it just makes you think of Steel Battalion.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of mechs as well. I'm more into like Zone of the Enders.
Oh, that was a great game.
Zone of the Enders, I just really love the design of the orbital frames. I think that they're really beautiful, and they're just very human looking in a way too. It's very much like Ava's.
End of the first one made me cry.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very, very fine mech combat series that did it really well.
And like that final boss, like when you know the sinister voice you'd always been hearing is now in the world's best mech. Like Anubis is there, and it's a fight you're not supposed to win. You're supposed to survive it.
Yeah,
it was like
I know.
Heart pounding. Like that was
that creates that much more tension.
Yes, it was amazing.
When you're given a totally different objective, like very similar but still very different at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anything with that. And I totally agree in the sense that like there are certain genres that I don't watch as much. Although I will say I really like slice of life and romance sometimes. It really depends on what it is. Like I was actually following some time ago. I was following Aoharido. I don't remember what that translates as, but it's Aoharido. That one was really, really good from everything that I saw. Yeah, it's probably done, but I haven't finished the anime, but it's on Crunchyroll. But I read the manga for it. I was on an episode of Manga Pod, and we were reviewing the first 14 chapters, I believe it was.
Cool. A
lot of chapters. And it's just like, it was such a nice series because like usually when I'm looking for things like slice of life, I'm looking for ones that are more like really mature in themes for the most part. Like Nana is a really big one for me. Nana's a really big one for me. But also Aoharido was just really good because it did take place in high school, but it dealt with much more serious issues and it wasn't melodramatic about it. Yeah. And I think that was really nice. It depends. I mean, you look at other ones too, like oh man, I don't even remember. There's too many. I'm kind of jumbling all of these things in my head. Yeah. You know what one of my favorites is? I gotta say, one of my favorite coming of age ones that I'm waiting on Blu-ray for right now is Nagi no Asakara.
Really?
I love Nagi no Asakara.
With the underwater village.
Yeah. I loved it.
I started watching it, and I think I'm really particular about pacing, and it moved at a very leisurely pace, I find. But it was brilliant in terms of like coming up with the angle on ostracism, and it had nothing to do with it. Wasn't about race or anything like that. It was an entirely different thing. Yeah, and it was like, oh, that's kind of brilliant.
It turned into something, and I love the 5-year gap in the middle of it. And just some of those characters. Of course, everyone loves subbing characters, and I'm always going to have my particular sub. Chisaki and Sumigukun forever. And I just love the way the characters grow and how a character can grow even if they don't actually grow in physical age. Because that became a very big part of the second part. But it's a really interesting series in the sense that, it is very slow-paced at first, but has very subtle emotion in it. Something I don't see quite as much. Like, it's very sensitive towards that. And I think it does a really nice job. So not only is it really beautiful thanks to PA Works, but it's also just like a very well put together show as long as you're willing to see those interactions. It's not even always about the text because sometimes people are saying things in between the lines in that show. And I love that. I love when you can tell that someone means something else in a show. So yeah, man. I can't believe I got the Blu-ray for that. Blu-rays are so expensive. They are so expensive, but I love them.
I've gone almost entirely streaming unless it's something I just gotta have. Yeah. Like this, I think it's this year. I need to track these down because they're probably out now. Is they finally released the 3 Universal Century Gundam shows that I don't have on DVD.
Really?
So the very first Mobile Suit Gundam 0079, Mobile Suit Gundam Double Zeta, which was this weird bridging between Gundam Zeta and Char's Counterattack, which is a feature-length movie and the first anime DVD I ever bought. And then the last one is Turna Gundam, which is the very last thing set in the Universal Century, like thousands of years later.
Oh.
And but yeah,
I know a lot about Gundam.
I am such a Gundam nerd.
Awesome.
I've said this a million times, but it's just because it's true. The earliest memory I can conjure is an episode of Gundam Wing, the one where Catra has to self-destruct Sandrock.
Yeah.
It's the earliest thing I can remember. It's like that first day of kindergarten. Like that's my head. But yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, Gundam is definitely a special one to me. And Endless Waltz was like the first time I saw it was like late night on YTV. And or they did the last 4 episodes and then played Endless Waltz, so they played the whole finale, and that was basically me being imprinted with anime. And this guy who is sitting in front of you now exists because of that moment.
It's funny how media can really help make who we are today, like that kind of like it's a culmination of a lot of things, but it really helps kind of temper who you become.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. And I find that, I like looking into people's like personal taste, and it's like it's kind of funny how it shows through to their personalities. Like, you clearly like a lot of things, and I think that shows through in the fact that, you're very informed about these things. You like to know more than just like, what was the story? Okay, cool, it's done. It's like, no, I want to know who was involved, and I kind of want to watch it again and maybe check the subtext differently.
I tend to go for more dark or bittersweet stuff.
Yeah.
I very much feel like that inside a lot more. I'm a much more introspective person. And I can be really serious because of it, or seem serious because of it. But I really, I don't know. It does reflect. It really does reflect on who you are as a person.
And I had my my good buddy Tom, who's going to be taking over who's going to be doing a gaming show on the channel, and he's very into cyberpunk. He's the biggest Ghost in the Shell fan that I know. Yeah. It's his thing. Like, you and him could have stuff to talk about for sure. And it shows through in his personality with, he'll be cynical about certain things, and he also really digs conspiracy theories. And I think that really came through in his love of, that kind of thing. And in fact, he's a huge Resident Evil fan. And one of the funniest things he says to me, and like he believes it, and I just laugh because I find it funny. He believes that Disney is the Umbrella Corporation. Because like he went to Epcot and found like, oh, this is where we're doing all of our genetic tests, and he's like, T-virus.
Oh no. Someone actually joked about that recently too. I was like, don't joke about that. Don't joke about the T-virus, please. I don't want to think about Nemesis again and running away from him and getting nightmares.
But then you got to lead him down that one corridor so that he can get waffle-faced, and then
just wanted to hide in the save room all the time.
Yeah.
I wasn't very good at horror games growing up, but I did love watching other people play them.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can't actually move my hands after a while. I become just totally unable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, but I love it. I love getting scared, but that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, some funny memories.
Yeah. And just while we're on video games, like you're a big Ghibli fan, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to think so.
Did you play Ni no Kuni?
Ni no Kuni? Yeah, I did play Ni no Kuni.
Do you want a sequel as bad as I do?
I do want a sequel.
Yes.
I would like a sequel. I would like to see them improve the battle system. I found the AI to be not very good, to be honest. I found it very frustrating. I can't remember what the magic user's name was, but she would always use up all of her MP. And I'm like, damn
Esther.
it. I'm trying to instruct her, obviously, to just not do that, to be more cautious, right? The thing is level 5 also did Rogue Galaxy, which is one of my favorite games, and I thought the AI was actually really good in that one. I think that the command system was a lot more intuitive and it actually followed through. Same with Final Fantasy 12. I absolutely loved the command system because they did what you asked them to do. However, with Ni no Kuni, I didn't feel like it necessarily did that. But I will say that every other aspect of that game, I really adored a lot. I really adored. And I loved the artistic direction. Obviously, if you're a Ghibli fan, you're going to feel that way probably. The story was very whimsical too. And it was a format. It was like a genre that I actually felt like worked really well with it too.
Yeah. I always explain it to people as it's playing Final Fantasy and Pokemon at the same time.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
That's the only way I can describe it. But on that note, my biggest peeve with it, and I don't know if you agree with me, is that metamorphosis with familiars was boring. They changed in color and pattern, but not
Yeah.
size and form.
Yeah.
And then, you have those big bounty hunt creatures that are like, oh, they're big creatures. Why couldn't they evolve in size and become those big creatures in the end?
Yeah.
And the biggest piss off, of course, is that when you fight Shadar, his familiar is one of those big things. And it's like, okay, well, why can't we do that?
Yeah.
That's what I would love to see out of a sequel. I would be happy with any sequel they put out, but if I was going to make the calls on it, I would love that to be a thing.
I think that would be really nice, though, just to be able to get a sequel to something like that. We've had some pretty good surprises, though, at E3 and afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Like, I think I was really actually quite pleased when I heard that they were going to be doing another Nier game. Nier is another one where it's like this one's a little different because this one has a really beautiful, amazing story, very well put together. Has really ugly graphics. It's very gray. I like the concept of it, and I'd like to see them improve on that and actually like do something that we can all be really proud of. Same with like Last Guardian. I would wait till the end of time for that game. I love Team Eco and I love Shadow of the Colossus and Eco. And if they need to take that much time to make a game, whatever that game is, then okay. As long as you're making that game, as long as you're going to put your absolute best into it, I'm willing to wait. But it's like, are we going to get sequels? Yeah. For those, yes. For Ni no Kuni, there's been no announcements, has there?
No,
rumors, maybe?
No, and the way it wraps up is kind of like it ties that particular story up in a bow, but they did set up a universe where it could happen.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's very possible. So, no, I've heard nothing about that. They'll probably just leave that on the floor.
You never know.
Hey, the fact that you're running me V3 announcements, the fact that they're doing the HD Final Fantasy VII remake, they're clearly willing to revisit things that did very well back when.
Yeah, it's hard to find really good original material, though.
But I think they really, in the case of that one is, it's been 10 years or whatever, and now they're going like, oh, God, remember when everything for us blew up because of Advent Children?
Yeah.
Like, they put out Advent Children, which was huge, like, genre-changing. God, how much freaking Clouds and Sephiroths did you see at conventions then? And then that led to Dirge of Cerberus, another game. It led to, Crisis Core for the PSP. And it was, I think it's really like they're just ready to revisit that one because they're hoping that means that, sequels galore. But that was also one of those things where they teased doing that however long ago, and now they're finally doing it.
Yeah.
Which I just think is like so Square Enix.
That was the PS3 test demo, actually.
Yeah.
That's how long ago it was. That's a very long time ago.
Yeah. It was, and they teased it horribly at the end of Crisis Core on the PSP, where the very last scene is the opening scene of Final Fantasy VII in the nice CG animation. So it was basically, then they were saying, oh yeah, next thing, Final Fantasy VII.
That means they've been working on this then for a while at least.
Oh, it's definitely been in the works, but I'm surprised after this
They're
long they finally say it.
Yeah.
Which to me is just like, that's what Square Enix does.
No, yeah, I've grown to accept this part of Square Enix. Not my most favored part of Square Enix, but
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, and I think, they've also been distracted with the online stuff because Final Fantasy XIV flopped, and then they rebooted it and found, people seemed to enjoy when they fixed it, and now they've got a big expansion. But it was, I definitely had a laugh at that. My first thought was, oh God, Final Fantasy VII cosplay all over again. And again, coming back to my thing was saying anime, like fashion, is in cycles, and in this case, it's actually an old thing coming back.
Yeah, I really want to do a Tifa.
Yeah, that'd be good.
But I would like to do Tifa, like Advent Children Tifa. I really like that vest.
That was good, and that was, I love that she got her big fight scene. And she was, even though she got a little trounced in it, it was like they still showed that she had the moves, and
well, that's the thing, is it's not about winning. Yeah. And that's what people are so stuck on, is you have to win if you fight. It's like, no, you don't. You put your all into it. If you don't win, that doesn't mean you're weak.
Yeah. No, and I thought, I did. I dug that outfit of hers. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was
it was
really kind of, it reminds me of, it was the sign of her growing up almost.
Yeah.
Like she's, not that it was important or anything, but she was more covered up. It was more she kind of took on a mom role to the kids, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of the sign of it. If you ever seen Erika 7,
Oh yeah, I watched Erika Szabo.
That is a gem. I love it
is.
so much. I think it's
a
I think
nice
it's perfect.
series.
I think it's
yeah.
perfect. But it's that same moment where Talho changes her outfit because she finds out she's going to be a mother, and she changes her clothes in like a physical show of her trying to become emotionally mature, and it's like it reminded me of that. And I think big visual things like that are really good for the audience to understand. Like time has changed and people have changed, and we kind of know them that way.
Yeah.
I think it's a good visual display
so.
of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we'll wind down now. You guys look exhausted.
A lot of cosplay.
It's been a long day, and we'll wind this down. But so you guys can go find Miss Erika Szabo on all of her various social media. It's all Erika Szabo everything, right?
Yeah, I believe that for my fan page, it's Erika T. Szabo.
Okay.
But yeah, for Twitter, it's Erika Szabo, YouTube, Instagram, all of that fun stuff. It's all on
You've
there.
been taking a break from the YouTubes, but you'll be back when you're nice and rested.
Yeah, I just need a bit more time, and it's nice spending more time with art right now. But I already have a lot of ideas in mind, and I've already been working with a few people to get some new design work and just kind of like freshen things up a bit, right?
Yep. And we did a lovely photo shoot today. You're dressed as Asami and Korra. And
yes.
Kind of. Was this fan art or original designs?
Fan art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at you.
But
It was
they look great.
original design.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I designed it.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, no, that's right. You're absolutely right. It was yes.
Fan art, but original design.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you explain that?
Yeah. So yeah, we did a great little photo shoot today. So you'll be seeing that. They look gorgeous.
Yeah, those were some nice photos.
You guys
It
look
was really
great.
cool.
Thank you for letting me do that, and thank you for coming to talk with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I
really appreciate
I always
it.
love chatting with you. You remind me of when I was a young anime fan and wanted to learn about everything.
Yeah.
So you bring me back to that, and it makes me want to see new stuff and dig deeper again.
Yeah.
You reinvigorate me.
Aw, well, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure, you know?
Yes. All right. So, guys, so you can go check out Erika Szabo on all of her social media. I'll include links in this post, of course. And you can always find all of our stuff on otakucrypt.com, and social medias under all the same names as well. It's Otaku Crypt on everything. I am your host, Joshy T. Once again, thank you to Erika Szabo for joining me today. And the sign-off that you are going to love. See you, Space Cowboys.
Yeah.